Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and welcome. It's Nurse Richard, the Wax Wizard. You're not going to believe what we've got here for you today. Only a week or so after having a huge and difficult mastoid cavity, I've got another one. It's like buses, they all come along. You wait ages for one, and then they all come at once at the same time. So a lot of your regulars will know what a mastoid cavity is. You've just seen to the left of the shot there, that was the ear canal. Now the patient did come a week ago, and we managed to clear what was in his ear canal to make him hear again. That was priority. Just didn't have enough time. I had a quick go at this cavity here, but it was a nightmare. It was so difficult because it was solid. It was like a brick in there. And I only had about 10 minutes left of the appointment. I had a quick go, but I didn't think it was going to come out. So I booked him a second appointment and had him come back. Now, it wouldn't have helped, I don't think. Certainly wasn't keen on having any oil in there to get this out. I mean, chances are it probably wouldn't have gone into the cavity anyway, but he's not a fan of having oil in there. It's fair enough. It's not for everybody. But this thing, it's been at least pre-COVID since this was done. And I do wonder if it was cleared out before. I think it'd been seen in public health and by some other providers. But it'd never been shown any images of it. So he never had it confirmed one way or the other, whether it was gone. He reported that he got his hearing back each time they did it. And they said it took him a couple of minutes. And I'm thinking, well, it doesn't take a couple of minutes to get something like this out. So maybe I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but I suspect that they were clearing the canal and maybe having a quick go at this and realising, oh, that's too hard, I'll leave that. It's not causing them any problem. So I'm probably leaving it. But this thing was so difficult to get out. You notice it gets a bit glary there because I had to get a bit closer to it. So I'll turn the brightness setting down on the light source. Now, I did before this part here that you're watching, I did have a quick go with a hook, and I didn't put that in because, for starters, didn't get anywhere at all. I think it was too deep to safely go in behind this thing, bit too risky, in my opinion, and I just couldn't get around the side of it there because, for those of you who don't know, I'll briefly explain it to you. The mastoid bone, it's a bone behind your ear there. This was his left ear, so with this ear, so it's behind there. So if you imagine his ear canal going straight down there, so it goes straight and then it veers off that way behind, because the mastoid bone, it's a honeycomb structured bone that got infections in it, and the only way of dealing with these was to have surgery and drill it away, which literally makes the ear canal almost twice the size of what it was before. So what you're seeing in the middle, just to the left of the suction tube there, that's his old ear canal wall. That's where it was. And as anyone who has a mastoid cavity will know, these cavities get filled up. It's really difficult for the ear to shed this stuff, which is basically just dried skin and keratin. But because it's been there so long, it's so hard, and you'll see afterwards, it's really adhered to the wall there, or what's the new wall, so to speak. So yeah, when I got the hook in, there was just nowhere to get it in. It's difficult to get the endoscope, let alone all the tools inside mastoid cavities. Where I'd really want to get it to is to the right hand side, and scoop it out that way. But it's just too difficult. And you can't see where you're poking that thing. So if you can't see where, excuse me, you can't see where you're poking a little sharp hook, essentially it's a bit of guesswork, and I'm not keen on guessing where things are. So because you don't want to dig that into it's still going to be a bone on the other side there, and you don't want to cause any damage or trauma leading to an infection, that's the last thing we want. So my theory with this one, it may take a bit longer, was because if you put the hook in and yank it, if it's that firmly attached, you've got a good chance of ripping the fresh skin out with it, and I certainly didn't want to do that. So my theory was to get this out. What I'm trying to do is trying to lift it up out of the cavity at least lifted up a little bit, and already you can see there's a slightly flatter surface at the bottom there. So I'm trying to like lift it up, turn it a little bit of a roly-poly forwards, and then that flatter surface you can get a better seal with the suction. But it is the rosin inserter that finally does the trick in this. So what happens is it's going to dig into that stuff at the bottom, which is a bit more freshly shed skin, so it's a little softer. So, but I can't get it in there yet until I lift it up and separate it a little bit away. So whilst it might look like I'm getting nowhere in this, every jiggle, every shake, every little movement left and right, up and down, helps to unstick this thing. And it was a beast. When it came out, you will see why it was so difficult to get out. So bear with it. I know it's frustrating, but it's frustrating for me to do as well, especially with an hand like this as well. It was literally shit. You'll see I got quite aggressive with it in the end because I needed to, not because I was getting annoyed with it, although I was slightly getting annoyed with it, but it was the only way of getting it out. But I was literally shaking like this. And you have the patient's head in like a brace position, and it was shaking. It was literally his whole head was shaking like that. It was like Winston the nodding dog. You won't know who that is unless you're of a certain age in the UK. It's like a dog that you have, a lot of people, I think it was a bulldog, wasn't it? You have on the back of a car seat and it's nodding away like that. But it was a faff. It was a real faff. What else can I tell you about with this? Because I've told you everything that I'm doing, you just got to watch it happening. Like I've said before, there's only so much you can say about a procedure. It's been half term here, which means school holidays, which only means one of two things usually. I get lots of children in the clinic, which is great, but that comes with its own challenge ordinarily, especially when a few of them come in and they're crying before I've even done anything. It was a bit of a challenge. Here it is, you can see me getting the rosin inserter in here. It was a bit of a battle to dig it in, because even though that bit looks soft there, behind it, it's still like a brick. It's rock hard. But it does do the job in lifting it up far enough so I can get a better seal underneath it with a suction tube and then yank it out. So yeah, been half term. A lot of people go away on holiday at half term. Got to wait a bit longer for ours. We're having a few, let me tell you about them, we're having a few holidays this year. Well, my wife is anyway. She's having more than me. She's going away this weekend, some hen do, in a house in Wales. God help Wales is all I can say, because they're an amaze. They know how to have a good time. Trust me. So I'm flying solo for 4 days this weekend with the kids at Bury. And then a couple of months we're going to a holiday camp. We go to a rugby league tournament where I think there must be at least over 1,000 young children all descend on this holiday camp in the UK. And there's a huge big rugby tournament. So we're going to that in a couple of months as well. That's always a really, really good one, that. It's called the Rhinos Challenge, if anybody has ever been to it. It's the last year we're allowed. When you get a bit older, they don't allow the older teams, because they used to come, but they used to cause havoc. You can imagine boys when they get to like teenage years, because the team now like under 12s, as they get a bit older, they start causing a few riots. So they've actually banned the older kids from coming. In fact, the last time we were there, we was in the club in there, and we just saw these kids coming in with just covered in foam. Oh, what's going on? I didn't think this was a foam party. Turns out what they'd done, there was a fountain outside outside the club, and they'd poured a load of washing up liquid in it. It had gone absolutely everywhere. So they kept running in, covered in foam. So the older kids got banned for that. And then where else? My daughter's going away to Malta, again with my wife. She's having more holidays than me. She's been invited to an international gymnastics competition, her club. So she can say she's an international gymnast now. You can see how aggressive I'm getting with this, can't you? And then in summer we're going to Morocco. I've never been, always wanted to go to Marrakesh. Cannot wait for that. It looks like an amazing place. So yeah, that's what we're doing this year. Very much looking forward to it, but I've got to see a few more ears like this so I can pay for it first. Anyway, we're almost there with this, I promise. But you can just see how it's turned it over, so it's a flatter surface, isn't it? It's softer, this surface. So that's, now I've got a good grip, then I can start to really give it a really aggressive shake, and you can see that's what I'm doing. I'm going hell for leather here. And it's really difficult to keep the camera still when you're trying to keep it still with one hand, and with the other hand you're literally going like this. I've slowed it down as well, figured out to do that, because it came out pretty quick, this. So what I've done, I've slowed the video down, which I think may affect the sound as well. So it sounds a bit odd. You will notice, if you haven't already, when you put this suction tube in a mastoid cavity, you get like a really echoey suction noise, because it's obviously bigger. And here it comes. So I really have slowed it down, haven't I? I didn't realise I'd made it that slow. So I wasn't pulling it out that slow. I think this is like 10 times slower than normal speed. But I didn't want you to miss it, because you've sat through this so far. So I thought I'll give you the money shot in all its slow motion glory. I've got some pictures of this afterwards as well, so you will be able to see it. And there it is, look at that. Huge, dark, hard lump of keratin. And that's why it was so difficult to get out, because it was trapped in this cavity, which are notoriously difficult to get out when it's like this anyway. I didn't get past me in the end. Another wax baby safely delivered. And here's the cavity afterwards. So as you can see on your left there, that's the old canal wall. And here's the cavity. It's a pretty big one. All the way to the right hand side there. It's a bit dry and flaky, the rest of it. I'm not mauling about any more with that than I need to. I think I'm going to turn the light up in a second as well, so you can just get a slightly better image. There is a thin layer of skin on there, but like I said, I'm not entertaining that. We've pulled away a huge lump from there, and aside from looking a little bit dry, it doesn't look too bad. And there we go. And I don't think he had his eardrum reconstructed as part of that. I don't think so anyway. So that's his original one. And there's this big chunk here. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for being patient enough to sit through it all. Hope you enjoyed it in the end. But for now, take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon. Ta-da.